And we are live. What's up, guys? We got a special podcast. We got Monica joining us, i.e., as she will be known for quite some time, the Redhead girl from FreshandFit. So thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, anytime. So let me start off by stating why I want to do this podcast. So some guys might be confused. So I know some guys are probably hoping this will be like a roast video where I just go after FreshandFit. I'm not going to do that. So that's never my intention. We're just going to, when I saw the podcast, so actually let me start off with a background. You did a podcast on FreshandFit. It went semi-viral. They made a response video to that. And then I did a reaction video to the podcast that you did. I did with my girl. And then I thought it'd be interesting to have you on because you were actually there to kind of get your take on the whole thing. And then you told me some interesting things that I did not know, which were actually pretty sad about all the harassment and shit. We'll get into that. So yeah, I think I want to give you a chance to kind of tell your side of the story because, well, I think it's also a little bit unfair, like the frame that's being set as if like you're the unreasonable one, which frankly, I thought you were pretty chill on that podcast. So let's start off with this. How did you wind up going on the FreshandFit podcast?
Yeah, so my sister had been on the podcast before me one time with, I believe, her two friends. And she told me, like, oh, you should come next time. Like, they're going to invite us again. I looked at their content and I was just like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not vibing with, like, their content that they're putting out. You know what I mean? But my sister mentioned, like, oh, yeah, like, I gained, like, 1,000 followers, like, da-da-da-da. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get some growth for my photography page. Like, I don't know, maybe some good could come out of this. Like, maybe, like, some interesting conversation, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So even though I was kind of reluctant, my friends kind of convinced me to go. And then last minute, my two friends actually ended up canceling. So it was just us two. And I was this close to canceling, but I was like, I feel bad. I'm not going to like waste these guys' time. I felt really rude about it. So I just ended up going. And yeah.
Much respect for that, by the way. That's a cool thing to do. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Much respect for that. Like, that's cool. Because I think some people in your shoes, like, they would cancel, right? But like, that's, I respect that you went through with it.
Yeah. I know, like, I mean, I knew the amount of like followers they have, and I just felt like, damn, they probably put a lot of work into like preparing for their podcast, just I'm sure as like how you do. So I don't know. I felt kind of guilty if I were to do that,
Right. Okay, so you wound up on the podcast. So then what happens?
Yeah. So basically, it was pretty funny actually, because I feel like when I first met them, I was like pretty quiet. I didn't say much, and then like once I got on the podcast, it was just like I feel like I was the only one speaking, and I mean, I feel like they were just like pressed the whole time that I had like a backbone, like a spine, like, and I was just kind of like speaking my thoughts, and my thoughts didn't happen to agree with theirs, and they were mad. And I tried my best to like maintain this like calm, like low tone in my voice, because I knew like the moment I get worked up or like the moment I start getting like angry at all, they just label me as like, oh, like, see guys, like this is why women can't hold conversations, like they're overly emotional, like blah blah blah. Like I knew that's the direction that they'd go in. So I feel like I held like my cool pretty well, even when like he was very obviously ignoring what like my points I was trying to make. But I mean, I don't know, and I think I was very nice too about it. Like I kept saying like I was like, guys, like we can all learn from each other. Like I can learn from you guys. Maybe in some ways you guys can learn from me. Like not everyone's ideology is perfect. Like maybe you can grow from this. Like look at this podcast over again and maybe learn something from what I'm saying. But I mean, they didn't seem to be very receptive to like what I was saying. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole thing was fairly like confrontational, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
Which happens during podcasts. I've had some of those myself. I do think they handled it pretty poorly, in the sense that like they always say that they like debates and they want to have debates, but they really don't, because anytime you debate them, they get super fucking like defensive at all. Like,
yeah, and it's like, why do you invite women on your podcast if it's just to like berate them, to like criticize every single thing that comes out of their mouth if it's not agreeing with you? And then like on top of that, it's like after every moment, like every little segment that like we'd be arguing, like Myron or like the other guy, I don't even know what his name is, Walter, I think. I'm not even sure.
Walter.
not to be rude, I just don't know what his name is, but like they just go straight to like reading the horrific comments that like their followers leave on the live stream. And it's like he wasn't even reading the worst ones. Like there were really bad ones on that live stream that he was ignoring, I guess, on purpose, because he's like, I'm not gonna cross that line, I guess. But it's just like I feel like they do that to break you down, like subliminally, you know? And it's just like, why are you gonna do that to like your guests on your podcast? Like it's just in bad taste, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's as deliberate as that. I think it's more of like Myron felt triggered after that argument, because it's ironic because they called the reaction video triggered Redhead, but in reality, like he got way more triggered. Like you got maybe 10% triggered, he got like 80% triggered, and I just find that so ironic. Like how does everyone else not see that? It's funny. Like if he had called it, yeah, we both got triggered. Okay, that's better, but like still, I felt like he got way more triggered. But another thing is like with the whole comments thing, I feel like he just got really triggered, and that's his way of like feeling better about himself. Like, oh, look, all my fans are supporting me, which is actually really lame because, like, for example, I have this podcast. My fans will support me unless I say something super crazy. I think they still will in that case. That's just how it works when you have a medium. So of course your fans are going to be on your side. That's like this genuine way of making you feel better about yourself. Like if you want to, actually see if you were right or wrong, you have to see who people who are not your supporters say about, your arguments.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that is like just bad podcast hosting 101, because every guest I've ever had, there's always hate in the comments, but I never put those comments on the screen. I just like rude to the guest. Like they always talk about respect, but I just feel like that's like a very disrespectful thing to do, is just like throw it on the screen, right in front of the guest.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, funny, I got a DM from like 2 people, and one of them was like, oh, they blocked me on the live stream. Like I was saying something agreeing with you, and like he kicked me off, which I thought was pretty funny. I'm like, damn, like y'all are so quick to read like the hate comments on your live stream, but you're kicking off people that agree with like your viewer. Like I don't know, it's so backwards to me. It's like, what's the point of having female guests on your show if you're just gonna like try to silence them and just, I don't know, and be so aggressive in that way, like when they disagree with you? It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, they do definitely censor hardcore. I've heard many stories of like people who say, like, anytime my name gets brought up, they get banned. Like, hey, what do you think about what playing with fire? Like, not, I understand, like, if someone says something really rude, then yeah, of course, ban them, right? But if someone says like respectful question, like, hey, what do you think about that thing that Alex from Playing with Fire said? Banned, insta banned, right? Like, I would never do that. Like, I don't even ban anyone really for even if they say rude shit, unless it's like so fucked up. But even in that case, I usually let them like stay on. I just ignore them. But they like ban anyone who even disagrees with them, which I find is like pretty lame in my opinion.
Yeah, it's wild.
But let's get into like the actual, and then we'll go into what happened afterwards. Let's get into the actual debate that was had. So I wrote down a list of some of the critiques I personally had with the arguments they were making. So the biggest, actually, I don't know if this is the biggest one, but this is a huge one. So there's a massive hypocrisy going on there. So in that video, that was the subject of the debate. They're talking about how if a girl doesn't give you sex on the first date, you should kind of punish her behavior, call her girl, whatever, and create competition anxiety, which I'm not even going to like, I think that's a very ineffective strategy, because most girls are simply going to like leave. Like they're not going to bang you after that. Only like the really insecure girls will have sex with you as a result of that, but I think it's going to be a minority. So I just think that's bad game. Like I'm not going to try to moralize it and say, oh, it's a shitty thing to do, because who gives a shit what I think. But then in all the other podcasts, they say that, oh, any girl who's sexually promiscuous, you don't want her. Like you want to avoid girls like that. So, okay, a girl's supposed to fuck you on the first date, but then you don't want sexually promiscuous girls. So like, what the fuck do you want then? You want the girl who's been saying no to every guy, but for some reason she sees you're fucking, I don't know, like you, and she decides she's going to fuck you on the first date, but she doesn't fuck anyone else on the first date, which is just like pure fantasy land. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's completely contradictory. Like it almost seems like they're only okay with it when it's in their favor, pretty much. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, and you want to talk down on like women, like I believe they said something to the effect of like, oh, I forget now, but only 10% of men are having sex with like the majority of women. I don't know, whatever. But
Yeah, 10% say 10% of men have
yeah,
sex, 90% of women, which is actually something I kind of agree with.
yeah, interesting point. Which he sent me the link to that, and I haven't read it over, but I mean, I plan on reading it over. But and then they also talk about how like women, like it's so easy for women to have sex, but it's so hard for men to have sex with women. Like women choose who they want to have sex with, and men have to like it's more of a fight, I guess, for them. And like they kind of use that against that argument against women, like kind of in a way to like insinuate that like women have it so easy. They're kind of like putting them down for that, I guess. But it's like, damn, like who are the sluts and who are the hoes if like it's so easy for women to have sex with a man? Like, doesn't that mean you're easy? Like, you're the easy one, not me. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like that logic is just so backwards to me.
Yeah, so basically two things there. I do think that they use a lot of like they take a lot of things that are true, but then use them to make a point which is not true. Like if I say, "Oh, do you see the city in the background?" Yeah, yeah, the city's there. Like that's a fact, right? That means that you know I got laid last night. Like that doesn't necessarily mean that, right? Like that could mean that just means that you live in a place where there's a city. Like that's an extreme example, but it's like those kinds of like logical fallacies. So
Yeah, the two just don't connect. And like, I think I heard them say one time, like women have all these privileges, like blah blah, like oh, women drink for free, which like okay, yeah, women drink for free, and they take advantage of that, I guess, yeah. But let's not act like um women aren't treated like some sort of like sexual commodity in like the nightlife, because it's like why are these clubs having ladies night drink free? It's not because they love women so much and they care about women so much. Like it's to attract men who are like their what's going through their head is like, oh, it's ladies night, like let's go to the club, maybe we can pick up some girls, you know what I mean? Like that's the whole motive behind it, which I mean, I'm not saying it's like evil or anything. Like that's normal. You want to go to the club, you want to meet girls, but like let's not act like it's this pure like this pure privilege that we're given because like nightlife just appreciates women so much. And it's like not only that, like when we're talking about drinking with promoters, let's not forget that like if you want to drink free with a promoter, most of the time you have to be three things, like what white, skinny, and pretty. Because if you're not those three
I
things,
got to push back against the white thing. If you're like a hot Latino or hot Asian girl or hot black girl, you'll still get the free drinks.
yeah, but I'm saying for the most part, a lot of clubs in Miami and a lot of promoters don't like they're not looking and accepting, you know, like women of color, like black girls into their tables. And I've seen it firsthand. Like I've seen it firsthand at least 3 times that I can remember off the top of my head. I've literally seen a girl, I'm not gonna say which club, but I've seen a girl not be allowed into a club because a black girl because she had braids, like because of her hair, literally because of her hair. And a couple of my friends have been denied like going to a promoter's table with me because of like their body, like they're not the thinnest, or like I said, they're like black or brown girls. So like let's not pretend that like this drinking free thing is like no strings attached, like nothing with a catch. You know what I mean? Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I see your point. So let me kind of because I think some of my some of my fans are getting ready to like start typing something up. But let
Oh,
me explain because I hear your argument and let me phrase it like this and tell me if I'm misparaphrasing what you're saying or not. So the argument you're making is they're saying like, oh, it's so easy to be a woman and that men have it so hard, and you're saying that's not necessarily true. Is that correct?
I'm not saying like I'm not saying women have it like I'm not saying men don't have it hard too in other aspects of life, but I just think that they use these arguments that are like they're just not accurate. Like the way they use them, like you said, it doesn't connect. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, sorry,
So
what
a lot of what I see is actually a victim mindset. So they talk about how how women have it easy, men have it hard. You know, men we have to do this and this, and they make some like yeah, women do get free drinks, women do have certain advantages, right? And vice versa, men have certain advantages as well. For example, if I fuck 100 girls, people think I'm the man. If you fuck 100 guys, people are going to think you're a slut. So there's advantages on both sides. And men have their own struggles, women have their own struggles. I don't think one is easier or better than the other. It's just different struggles. Like, yeah, of course, it is a lot easier for women to get laid, but they say the line they say is women are the gatekeepers of sex. men are the gatekeepers of relationships, right? So again, there's different struggles. That's why a lot of women have their own dating coaches, right? Because women have their struggle isn't getting laid. They have different struggles. Their struggle is finding a good guy that they can, settle down with, right? That's a struggle for a lot of women that have. So it's really disgenuine to downplay the struggles of other place. And I find it very similar between like the hardcore like feminist SJW chicks who say, oh, men are the problem, men have it so easy, we women were suffering, versus like the hardcore red pill guys who say, oh, women have it so easy, men are suffering. It's actually, when you go to those two extremes, it's actually, they're basically making the same argument, really. Like, we're the victim, we have it hard, you guys have it so easy. It's like so ironic, because like, why don't you guys date each other, because you basically agree on all the same shit. You guys are both victims, and like, help each other out.
Yeah, definitely. I think is not like it's too much. It's not on either side. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like different struggles for men and women. It's like one is, I wouldn't say one is like, oh, one has it easier, or just one. Men have it easier with certain things, women have it easier with other things. It's like,
I'm sure men have their own struggles. They do, but it's like, I feel like on their, they mainly emphasize like that men have all these struggles and like women are the reason for it. Like, I don't know.
Sure, yeah, they do, and it's a form of victim mindset, which is actually very disempowering. Like, as a guy or as a woman, as anyone, the last thing you want to do is be a victim, because then that takes all the responsibility off your hands. Like, for example, if I go into believing that it's so hard to be a man in the 21st century, and I base my argument on half truths, there are some things that, make it harder to be a guy right nowadays. But if I go in thinking that like, oh, it's so hard to be a guy, then I'm not going to feel empowered to take action and improve my life. End of the day, like, I'm sorry, but a guy, unless he's born in like severely disabled, or like just like extreme example, like super deformed, like, you can be successful in life and with women. I mean, if you're living in a first world country, which most people are who are watching this, like, you have internet access, which again, like 50% of the world doesn't have, like, you're not that much of a victim, like, sure, I'm sure you've had your struggles, but like, if you go into thinking that, the world is stacked against you because you're a guy, because you're a woman, then your life isn't going to turn out well. And it's like a very sad, and you don't want to be reinforcing that mindset by talking about how hard your struggle is. Like, I never talk about, the struggle, like, why. Let's focus on solutions and not the problem.
Yeah, but like, and even if you were to talk about your struggles as a man, like, okay, I'd be receptive to you and I'd listen to you before trying to shut you down, like how they were on their show. Like, it's like, they're not even like, I'm a woman and I'm trying to tell you like my perspective and like on being a woman, which you clearly wouldn't know, talking about them, not you. And it's like, instead of them trying to listen to me or like hear me out, they're just immediately criticizing me, like immediately getting defensive. And it's like, I don't know, it's not helpful to the podcast, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's this form of podcasting, which I don't, it's like this Jerry Springer type of podcast, which I just think it's entertaining, gets views. I mean, there's a reason why their channel is so popular, but it is a very like basic, lame form of, I don't want to say lame, that's the wrong word, but like low into, I don't know, it's just like I guess lame, I'll use that word. Like, it's just like, the point isn't to have like a civilized conversation and like for us to like maybe make some good points, maybe come to a conclusion, maybe not. It's just to like, win, pull one over, own, own you. I'm gonna do like it's just like, okay, like how much of that like is entertaining. But I guess like people do find that shit entertaining, which that's, and I'm guilty of that myself sometimes. Like, I watch like like someone owns someone, I'm like, wait, why am I even watching this? It's like so like dumb. So I think that's so just moving on to the list, because this is just number one. So the second thing we kind of mentioned early is the irony of calling you triggered, when clearly Myron got way more triggered. And that is like so apparent. Like, I don't even know how anyone could deny that. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add to that. It's just a fact. Yeah.
Like, I would say you were like pretty chill, which is actually like not easy, especially when you don't have any experience podcasting. Like, you don't have any experience, like, kind of like doing these types of things. It's not easy for your first time when you feel like you're being quote unquote attacked, to like stay calm. Like, our natural, as a human, your reaction is to like kind of like react, right? So
yeah, no, for sure. Like, podcast, I mean, maybe I was being so calm, I was, but I mean, I was so freaking nervous. Like, can I cuss on this, by the way?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, I was so fucking nervous. Like, I was on the inside, like, my anxiety, like, levels were rising, like, because it's just a lot. Like, it's a lot when people on his live stream are, like, attacking you, and, like, the hosts just, like, are not hearing you out. And Yeah, it definitely was a lot. Like I said, it was my first podcast. I was nervous to begin with. But I mean, yeah, I just tried to hold it together, like I said, because I didn't want to be labeled as like the emotional woman that can't get a point across without getting mad, whatever. So,
Right, right. I mean, that was a good call. So the third thing was a complete lack of understanding of why women did not sleep with men and just teaching poor strategies. So this is the big point I made during my reaction video. So the argument they were making is women don't have sex with you on the first date because they're using it as a power play, which happens on occasions. There's some women, they're the minority, usually it's going to be like sugar babies, who will try to use sex as a power play. The majority of the time, when a woman does not sleep with you on the first date, it's not some power move. It's because she's not comfortable, she's not attracted, or she's some concern, objection. She doesn't want to be labeled as a slut. Maybe she really likes you and she thinks that if she fucks you on the first date, you won't see her again. Maybe she thinks her social reputation will be ruined. Maybe she's on her period. Like maybe she didn't shave down there before the date. Like so many things that could happen. And so like I just found that to be like, I'm like watching this, like you guys are supposed to be a dating podcast, but like this is like really bad from a game perspective. Like
no, and yeah, I mean, like you said, there's so many reasons why a woman would sleep with you. I mean, like personally, it's like speaking for myself and even a lot of women, I'm sure, like I usually don't do that on the first date just because I don't want to feel like I'm used and then like this guy like kind of ghosts me and never talks to me again. Like that's a shitty feeling, you know, no girl wants to feel like that. Um and like you don't even need a reason. Like if you don't want to have sex with someone, like you don't want to have sex with someone, like even just the reason of I'm not feeling it, I'm not in the mood, I don't want to, like that's reason enough, you know. So.
Yeah, no, okay. So this is when I had the debate with Ask Nelly. So that's one thing that got miscategorized. So I also agree. No woman should feel forced like she has to have sex with a guy. Like a woman doesn't own a guy's sex, just like a guy doesn't own a woman anything. But the point I was trying to make is, if you're attracted to a girl and you're trying to, like run a good game on her, you should have an understanding of why she's not sleeping with you, so that potentially you could address that. Like, for example, if she's worried about being perceived as a slut, you could probably address that by sitting her down, being like, hey, listen, like, I know that a lot of guys, might judge you for having sex on the first date, but I'm actually not one of those guys. And, that sometimes that might be enough for her to be like, okay, well, yeah, then I will have sex with you. I mean, it's usually not as quick as that. So that's like the point. I mean, the video, it's like, and another point I feel like is like, if you're, I feel like the fresh and fit, like they idolize like the 50s housewife type of woman, like the woman that's kind of like stays home and like isn't sexually experienced and all that, right? And I'm not even saying that's wrong, like that's what your thing, that's your thing. Like me, I like porn star looking Latinas, like that's my thing. Okay, like one's not right or wrong, but if that's the girl you idolize, that is not the type of girl that's going to react well to when she says, "Oh, I don't want to have sex tonight," to you calling another girl in front of her. That's the kind of girl that's going to get like pissed off. Like the kind of girl that will work on is like kind of like the insecure sugar baby, which is not the kind of girl that you want in the first place. So it's just like a big paradox there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like another contradiction. Like it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So point number 4 I had was backtracking on his statement about competition and anxiety. So I found that a little lame because the initial comment was like, yeah, you call a girl in front of her because that creates competition anxiety. It will, yeah, again, like I said, we'll work with a small percentage of girls. Right. But then later on in the podcast, I found that like he really backtracked on that. He's like, no, you misunderstood me. It's like I called the girl in a different room and maybe the girl overhears me. Like, so I was just like thinking, like, just fucking own it. Like, yeah, like this is what I do because I think this is the best strategy. Yeah, this is what I do on dates. Like, okay, I would have more respect if like they just own that argument instead of just like backtracking on it.
Yeah, he kept backtracking. I think he kept denying it at first, I think. And it's like very clearly then they showed the video and he literally said the words like verbatim. So I don't know. But yeah, and it's like they kept misunderstanding me. Like I mean I think they knew what I was trying to say. I think they just didn't want to acknowledge my point. But like my issue was not like the guy setting a boundary and like saying, "Oh, like leave if you don't want to have sex with me." Like that's fine. Like you set your boundary, babe. Like it's okay. My like yeah, like I'm not telling you that. It's just like my thing is like where does this like mindset stem from? Like this literally stems from his idea of that like he is entitled to a woman's body. Like this is the whole reason why he's mad, right? because he feels entitled to having sex with this woman. Like, that's literally what caused this whole scenario. So, like, and yeah, like, to me, that is misogynistic. Like, you feeling entitled to a woman's body, like, that's not okay. Like, that is a characteristic of someone who is a misogynist. Like, you know, and not only that, just like the rhetoric he spews on his podcast, like, he has called women the B word, like I mentioned on the podcast. He posted it on his Instagram. That's how I saw it. And he tried to make an argument for that too. And it's like, that word is literally a word specifically made to like to break down women. Like, it's a word used against specifically women, you know? And I think I forgot who made the argument. Like, oh, it's like, obviously it's not the same thing. They're not on the same level at all, but it's like the N word. It's like saying, oh, I call everyone the N word, so it's okay. You know
Yeah,
what?
I understand that argument. That was Kevin Ray Wilder. I do got to respectively push back on that. So I think misogynistic is the wrong word. So misogynistic, Myron, very many times defined it for us as the hatred of women. I don't think this stems from hatred of women. I think it stems from ego. So I feel like when a woman, because I do think that Myron has a really big ego, and I mean, I think that's pretty self-evident. And then when a woman doesn't fuck him, it hurts his ego, and he gets triggered by that. Like, for example, he also gets triggered by, I guess, like saying things, whatever that he doesn't like, right? That's why there's so many like kickouts and shit on that show. Like, I've been doing this podcast for ages. I have never had one kickout. I'm not saying you can't do kickouts, but I am saying that there is like, definitely ego elements. So that's the reason I think because it makes you feel better about yourself. It's like, if you can make it seem like, if your ego, like you have a self-image of yourself that you're like this pimp who can get any girl, and then you go on a date and you don't get the girl, well, that hurts your self-image. So, okay, what do? Well, you have two choices at that point. You can, one, be like, you know what, like, maybe I should question my assumption. Maybe I'm not this massive pimp with women, or maybe the reality of the game is that no matter how good you are, you can't get every girl, which is true. Or you can do the disgenuine and easy thing and blame it on the girl. Be like, oh, she must be like playing power games with me, right? And now that's the easy thing to do, because it doesn't require you to challenge your assumptions, right? So that's the easy thing to do, but it's also the disgenuine thing to do. So then you blame the lack of sex on the woman, right? And then you make it seem like she's playing power games. And then and then when you call the other girl in front of her, you're kind of like getting back at her.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Like, maybe I should word it this way. I feel like him spewing that idea or supporting that idea of like being entitled to women's body, and that piled with the fact that he's called women the B word on his show, and he thinks that that's okay, and he openly posted that on his social media, and also like the fact that his podcast has even stated that they feel women aren't capable of leadership roles. Like, those three things, and I'm sure many other elements, many other things, point to like a misogynistic viewpoint. Like, honestly, like, because I mean, what are the characteristics of a misogynist really? Like, are they not those things? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my opinion would be that they're disrespectful. They have pretty poor dating advice. There's a huge amount of ego there. There's a fair level of pandering. I would not categorize them as misogynistic. And believe me, I love calling people out. So like, if that was the case, I would. And again, like, we may have different opinions,
Yeah.
and that's totally okay. But I would personally not describe them as misogynistic. I would say, I don't think the place is coming from is a hatred of women. I think the place is coming from is just ego. And like, again, like feeling hurt when a woman doesn't sleep with you, which is, again, like, it's easy when something doesn't go your way, it's easy to blame it on the other person, right? Be like, oh, it's that other person, right? It's more difficult to take responsibility, right? To be like, you know what, maybe my game was off. Maybe, maybe this is not the kind of girl that anyone can sleep with on the first date. Maybe no matter how good my game was, this girl requires multiple dates to have sex with, which is the case some of the time. So just having this nuanced viewpoint is much more complex, but it's correct, right? So like, it's much easier to be very simple-minded and be like, it's woman, or like, on the feminist side, you see it's like when like a woman goes on a date with a guy and maybe the guy doesn't call her back. It's like, oh, men are the problem. They all want just sex, right? Like, fuck men. But like, it's harder to take responsibility. Okay, yeah, some men just want sex, but maybe, I did this or that. And, so I just think taking responsibility for yourself is much harder. And that's something that they're not really doing. And that's where it stems from.
And I just think that, like, okay, I'm not saying like deliberately like doing these things. Like, they're not saying these things in a deliberate way to come off as like misogynistic, maybe. But I feel like they just don't even realize like the underlying like mindset that is behind their like what they're saying. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, like this feeling of entitlement to like sleeping with a woman, like what do you think that leads to? Like that doesn't lead to anything positive. And if anything, like I said, like it leads to things like sexual assault. Like, you know what I mean? So I mean, I just don't think that they're connecting those two things, because like I mean, like I said, if a man feels entitled to a woman's body, if he feels that entitled and strong in that moment, he could potentially sexually assault a woman because of that entitlement. Like, you know what I mean? That's the connection I was trying to make. And like that's why I'm trying to say like they probably don't realize like that their mindset is like is that way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see your point. I just to kind of in their defense on that, it's like when you're a podcast host and like words like sexual assault get thrown at you, because it is something that like even to me, like I would say I'm much more like moderate than they are. I get stuff like that gets thrown at me, and it's like very annoying when, especially because like what they were saying is like, like again, call the girl, like kick the girl out, right? Which is the opposite of like sexually assaulting her, which again is rude and disrespectful. But in my opinion, doesn't cross over into misogyny or like sexual assault or anything like that. I think it's almost like the opposite of that. You're like just cutting ties with that woman, which again is poor game, not really respectful.
But you wouldn't say that feeling entitled to a woman's body that wouldn't result in like that hasn't resulted in sexual assault. Like I'm sure it has. Like
I
that.
just don't know if the place is coming from is feeling entitled to the woman's body. I think it's more coming from ego.
I mean, but he obviously feels entitled to having sex with a woman. That's the whole reason why he's mad. That like he's mad because she's not having sex with him. He feels entitled to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in some way, I guess. I mean, we're kind of like going on definitions. I mean, I still think it has more to do with like his ego being hurt, like when the woman doesn't fuck him on the first date.
Oh,
and
that's
kind of acting out. I think if it was entitlement, it would be more like instead of kicking the girl out, he would be, and calling another girl, he would be really trying to sleep with her and be like, "Come on, why don't you want to fuck?" Like, or really trying to run game on her. Which something like, for example, if a girl says, "Hey, I don't want to have sex with you," I don't just say, "Okay, get out." I say like, "Okay, sure, we can just have a drink," and then maybe I try again a little bit later.
I want to clarify. I'm not saying that I think that he was doing that in that. I don't know if that situation was a real situation he went through. I'm not saying that he was doing that. I'm saying that the two things are closely connected. Feeling entitled to a woman's body and sexual. I'm not saying that that's what he was trying to do in that situation. I'm just saying that connection should be recognized.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I agree. No, entitlement can definitely cause, I agree with you. So feeling entitled to a woman's body can increase the likelihood of sexual assault. Now, of course, there's going to be the majority of, I will grant you that point. The majority of guys will not act out on that. In fact, most guys won't. Yeah. But I don't think that their whole thing is, feeling entitled to the woman's body. I think it's like my viewpoint is more ego. Again, because if it was entitlement, then they wouldn't be kicking the girl out right away because they're entitled to her body. It would be more of like, okay, how can I get her to fuck me? How can I convince her? Like more like, keep trying and trying rather than just like kicking her out, because that's like almost like the opposite of entitlement. That's like, okay, like just giving up really fast. And a lot of those situations can be like, for example, the girl goes home with you, right? Like I'm sure you've had this happen. Like you go home with a guy and like you're not ready to have sex in that moment, but maybe like half an hour later, like when the guy kind of seduces you a little bit, like you're more down. Right. So I just think it's like a poor strategy just to kick the girl out right away. Like just, okay, leave.
Yeah. I mean, he also said competition anxiety. So, I mean, so like what's competition anxiety? I mean, for you, what would competition anxiety be? Like, what's the goal of that?
To get the girl to fuck you.
Exactly. So is that not like a form of coercion? Like, I don't know, like, you know what and I can look up the definition of sexual coercion if you want. Hold on.
No, it's all good. I mean, you feel free to look it up, but it's a form of I mean, I'll call it. It is a form. It is a form of manipulation, but like I don't use that word in a bad way because everything is a form of manipulation. Everything, pretty much.
Yeah,
so like,
it can be used in a sexual setting. I don't think so.
So like, okay, so here. there's different levels of manipulation, right? And it's up to each person to draw the line, which is too much. So, for example, like let's just take like our situation, right? Like, like you were having second thoughts about coming on the podcast, and rightfully so because you've been getting a lot of hate. So you can make the argument that me, saying like, like again, like what did I say? Like, like, oh, I'd love to have you on. You can talk to, my girl to make you feel more comfortable. That's a very, very light form of manipulation because I'm trying to manipulate your opinion of my show to get you to come on, right? That's a very light form of manipulation. Now, no one ever is going to say that's unethical because it's very light. This is a more significant form of manipulation. Now, whether it's too far or not just depends on the person's ethics or morals. Like, again, that's up to each person to decide. And there's, further form of manipulation, like going even further would be like, hey, listen, if you don't fuck me tonight, I'm gonna do some nasty shit. I'm gonna like, tell your friends that you're a slut. Like that's going like way further, right? So at some point we all have to draw the line. Where we draw the line is up to each person's and their ethics and their morals. But everything is a form of manipulation. But yeah, I do agree that it is a form of manipulation. But like, yeah, and I'll call it like it is. I don't understand why they denied it. Like everything basically is manipulation. It's just up to you to decide how far you want to go.
I just don't think manipulation has a place in a sexual setting because then it's not manipulation. It's a form of coercion. So just my opinion, but
no, yeah, man, you're fully entitled to your opinion. I mean, I would say that like, even like, I mean, I get the point that they make. Like the point that Myron made was that like, well, aren't women, sort of manipulating men when they wear makeup, which is like a very, very low degree of manipulation, right? Like very low degree, which again, no one is going to fault a woman for that. If a woman is, for example, like, I don't know how you're familiar with like the whole sugar baby, sugar daddy thing, but like a lot of women will be like, yeah, maybe if like they hint at it, like, yeah, if you buy me this Louis Vuitton bag, then I'll fuck you, right? Like that's a higher form of sexual manipulation. Then you have like girls who are like, yeah, I won't fuck you until you do this, this, and this. That's like an even higher. And then on the men's side, we have our own little game. So I think men and women play these like manipulation games, and like again, it's just like we all have to draw the line at a reasonable point because then it just becomes like kind of fucked up. Like like if a man says to a woman, hey, if you don't fuck me tonight, I'm gonna butcher you on social media. That's like really fucked up. If a woman says, hey, I won't fuck you until you pay for my rent, that's also really fucked up, right? Like so we're all like trying to manipulate each other, but we got to draw the line like somewhere reasonable. That's kind of like my take. But yeah, so again, like I guess like the one critique. So I had many critiques of their argument. The one critique I had, I guess, of the argument you were making is I feel like your heart was in the right place. That's kind of the feeling I got. I feel like you just like, and again, it's your first podcast ever. Like like no one can fault you for that. I feel like some of the words you used kind of made the argument go off track because the real argument is like whether what Myron's suggesting is actually like in any way like effective and good game, which is clearly not. And like I feel like if you were as a woman were like, like if you did that to me, even if I was thinking about fucking you, I would just bounce because that shit is super rude. That would be like the ultimate like fucking sledgehammer to the head.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I could have worded myself better. Like I even rewatching some of it. I didn't rewatch the whole thing, but I feel like I'm not good at public speaking, first of all. And like I said, it was my first podcast. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things I could have said better, a lot of words that I could have used in like different scenarios or whatever. So I totally understand what you're saying. Like,
yeah, and that's totally normal. Like I've been podcasting for ages, and like it happens to me all the time. Like I rewatch my own podcast, I'm like, fuck, I worded that really poorly. Like, yeah, like the most recent one was the one I had with the I keep forgetting her name, the Asinelli chick. Like I feel like my argument, like my point didn't get across clearly. The point I was trying to make was that I have no problem buying girls drinks. I buy girls drinks all the time when I go on dates. But I do feel that a woman expecting a guy to buy her a drink is silly, almost as silly as a guy expecting sex from a girl because he buys her a drink. I just felt like those two were really silly things. And like, you have to be able to see the irony there, which my argument got taken out of hand. And, some girls were insisting that I, for some reason, expect girls to give sex, which I never did, always told the opposite of that. So that was like a whole thing in of itself. But yeah, it can be hard sometimes because you say something and then people pigeonhole you to that, which is what I felt like happened during that debate. Like you were trying to make a vague point. You were trying to make a point and then you used the word misogyny and then you just focused on that. Like, no, technically this is not misogyny. And they're right. It's technically not misogyny, but like that takes away from all the other points you were trying to make.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely think I used it at the wrong time, maybe. because like I think in the broad scope of their content, I think it's more reasonable to say that they have like that they push like I don't know, they have misogynistic tendencies in like the grand scope of their content, right? So like a lot of the things that I listed, like the B word, saying women can't lead and can't effectively be leaders, blah blah, whatever. So in the grand scope, but then like yeah, so I used it kind of in that specific argument, and obviously people weren't really seeing what I was saying. But yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like maybe that it's not so much that what they're saying is misogynistic, but that the content can indirectly encourage misogynistic behavior, right? Was that kind of the point?
Um, so I mean, look, I feel bad. I don't want to call them misogynistic, but
No, no. I
like,
mean, again, this is your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm
but
never
like,
gonna.
yeah, my opinion, like, yeah, I think they're misogynist. Like, I'm sorry, oh my god, but like, it just is what it is. Like, the content they push out, like, it kind of leans on the misogynistic side, in my opinion. And just even the way that they were talking to us on the show, and I know that they like to like drag this thing about, oh, see, like with women, it's always the way you're speaking. It's always the way you say things, not what you say. And it's like, okay, yeah, you want to say that, but it's like, if the way you said things wasn't important or meaningful, then why would you say it in that way? You know, like the way you say things and your intention with your words is important. It is meaningful in the way you're pushing out your content. You know what I mean? So when you speak in this like in this critical aggressive tone towards the women on your show, like what do you expect to what kind of a feeling do you expect them to carry with them from being on that show? Like obviously they're gonna feel like they're being attacked. They're gonna feel like
Mhm.
not a welcoming environment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, in terms of the attack and the not welcoming environment, I totally agree. And again, I think like we're all entitled to our opinions, and you're definitely entitled to your opinion. I'm not going to like attack you for that. See, this is how you have like a respectful debate. Like me
yeah,
personally, I don't think they're misogynistic. I think that they give bad advice. I think that there's a lot of ego problems there. I think there's a lot of other problems that are going on that, frankly, it's very reactive, get
yeah.
very triggered very fast. Some poor podcasting type of things. I also think there's some things they do well in terms of growth and all that, and
And
work
all
ethic.
together kind of give way like all the elements together, what they say, the way they speak to women, the way they criticize the women on their show, the way they teach men that they should feel entitled to having sex with women, in my opinion. All those things are the fact that they say the B word to women on their show. All those things to me are characteristics of a misogynist, you know? So that's why I said that.
So with the B word thing, did they actually call a girl a bitch on the show, or was it like in reference to something?
No, no, no. He directly called a woman a bitch that was on a podcast. He said that she was deserving of that, I guess. I guess she did something radical. I don't know if she threw
Or
something.
was it the chick that was like trying to punch him or something?
I have no idea. I think maybe that could have been it.
Because there was like one incident where like one chick was like trying to like physically attack him. So
Yeah.
if he called her a bitch, I will like I can't fault him for that because I'll probably
Yeah.
just be similar in that shoes if
Everyone,
he's physically being
every,
attacked.
sorry, I cut you off. But
No, you're good.
everyone says things in the moment. And you know what? If he tried to hit her, damn, that's a heated moment.
No, no, he didn't. He didn't.
But
I will give him full credit for that.
yeah,
No, he did not do anything violent.
maybe it was a heated moment and shit slips out when you're in a heated moment, but he posted that on his Instagram. It's like, why are you going to post that? Like, you obviously don't feel like that's
Oh, I can 100% answer that because Myron is smart enough to know that what generates views is controversy and drama. So he picked up on that. That's the reason why their channel has significantly more views than mine. So I'm not afraid of controversy or drama. I just don't look for it, right? Like
yeah.
I'm not going to try. Versus they realize that okay, this is what's going to get us views. I'm not even going to judge them for that. Like okay, that's like their approach and it works, right? Like congratulations. Like I'm happy for you guys having a popular channel. What a lot of people don't even know is that I knew mine way before Fresh and Fit, and when they first got going, I would always give them like words of encouragement. I was like, "Yeah, man, you hit your first 10,000 subs, good job." So I was like big supporter of them back in the day. Like not of their content, but just like of the work ethic and stuff like that, because I know how hard it is to run a podcast and get it going, and that's why I'm always very careful to make sure that all the arguments I make are based on evidence and not like personal attacks. Um, but yeah, it's just purely to get views and controversy. You know, like controversy drama gets views. Same reason like Jerry Springer was popular for like 20 years. Same reason like TMZ and all that stuff exists.
And not only that, kind of but on the show, I don't know if you catch this, but it was a portion of the show where they were like, "Oh, do you guys have questions for us?" And I asked them very simply. I was like, "Do you guys think misogyny is wrong? Like, do you think yeah, basically that's what I asked them. Do you think misogyny is wrong?" And they literally could not say no. Like, they did not answer my question. They were just like,
Yeah, super line.
I accept reality. And I was like, I'm not asking you if you accept reality or not. I'm asking you for your opinion. Do you think misogyny is wrong? And the word dead ass could not come out of their mouth. So it's just like, what do you expect people to think then? Like, you know?
Yeah, this is kind of like almost like reminds me of like politicians, how politicians pander to their base. Like, well, so when a politician gets asked a question, okay, do you think it's wrong to kill like 10 million children in Iraq? And like, if that politician was like pro-war, he can't say that. Like, of course it's fucking wrong, and of course misogyny is wrong. Like, yeah, like this common fucking sense. But so yeah, I'm not a big fan of like pandering to like my base. If my base isn't like my views, then that's fine. So I do see like their base is like hardcore like red pill type of things. And as much as they say they like,
I don't know what red pill is. Like, what's red pill, blue pill?
Think of red pill as like the opposite. Well, actually, no, that's not fair. Think of hardcore red pill, because there's a difference between like regular red pill and hardcore red pill. So think of hardcore red pill as like the opposite of like a hardcore feminist.
Okay.
But in reality, there's a lot of overlap between the two, because a hardcore feminist will be very angry and bitter, will have a victim mindset, and a hardcore red pill guy will also be very angry. So like, I was going to get to this later, but you got a lot of very nasty DMs, from like their hardcore red pill fans, right? Which is something that angry feminists do to like, someone else. Like, so it's like the behavior is like so similar.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that. So what happened after the podcast? Let's start with the elevator ride.
So after the podcast, there was definitely awkwardness in the air. And the producer Aaron was kind of explaining to me like, oh, like you can't be doing that. Like, you're throwing out like the word sexual assault, like da da da. And I was like, look, I'm so sorry if I crossed a boundary. Like, I truly apologize. That was not my intention. I asked you guys beforehand if you guys welcome differing in opinion, and you guys said yes. So I kind of ran with that. But I was like, but I apologize.
We welcome differing opinions, just not any opinion that differs from ours.
Yeah, exactly. I actually apologized to each one of them. And I was like, look, I'm sorry if I crossed a boundary. Like, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I shook all their hands, and I appreciate that at least Myron, me and Myron disagreed, yes, but at least he was respectful towards me. And the other host as well, like, they weren't rude to me. They didn't insult me. After the show, I shook Myron's hand and he was like, oh, thank you so much. He actually invited me on the show afterwards. And I declined just because I don't want to be somewhere that I'm not celebrated. You know what I mean? And I don't want to feel like I'm being attacked again.
Right.
But whatever. So we get into the elevator, and then his producer.
Yeah, I'll give them respect for that. I didn't know about that, but yeah, respect to them for doing that.
Myron and the other host did not insult me after the show. Like, they were actually nice to me. But the producer Aaron.
I thought it was Chris that was the producer. Who's Chris?
I don't know who this Chris guy is. People were saying that, and I was like, no, this guy's name is Aaron. It's not Chris.
Okay.
Yeah. So this guy Aaron.
We just lost your audio. Although we're sort of here now.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. So can you see me? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, in the elevator, Aaron just out of nowhere just kind of goes, oh, like, that's why you're single. Like, no girl wants to be single. Like, you're like, what girl would want to be single? That's miserable. Like, that's probably why. And I'm just like, and I was like, excuse me? Like, I could almost like not believe what came out of his mouth, like, I was just like, what? But honestly, I didn't even bother to respond to him like anything nasty back, because I'm just like, bro, this is laughable. Like, first of all, who are you, okay, to be talking to me like that? And second of all, like, since when is being single a bad thing? Like, I don't know. It was just such a petty move on his part, so disrespectful too. Like he did it when like he was alone with me and this one other girl in the elevator. Like it was just so shady and like so unnecessary. I don't know. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to go back on the show. Like I said, I don't want to go somewhere that I'm not celebrated. I don't want to be attacked by their fans. I don't want to go through that anxiety again, because that show, like, it really did give me a lot of anxiety, not gonna lie. But yeah, that's the situation that happened.
So what happened with you told me this over text. What happened with the crazy DMs?
Oh my God, I got a lot of DMs. I'm still getting DMs to this day. Sorry, my battery, because it's like running low, but
Do you want to plug it in or something?
Sorry?
Do you want to plug in the phone in? So
yeah, but so I'm still getting a lot of DMs, but I was getting a lot of hateful DMs, a lot of DMs like even telling me like they hope I get raped, like with assault on me. And that's a point that I made on the show. Like this type of rhetoric could influence some of your followers to, you know, behave in this manner. And like, look at it. Like literally my point has been proven. They're all up in my DMs attacking me.
Go ahead, sorry.
Which like, of course, like I can't blame that entirely on some hosts, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that reflects their views at all, but you know, it's just like interesting to see, and I guess make of it that information what you will. But yeah, I mean, not all of them were hateful. I did get a couple from like mostly women, like kind of supporting me and stuff. But I mean, it's been crazy. I wouldn't go back just because I don't want the hate. My comments are still turned off on my page because of that. So
yeah, that shit is super lame. Like, okay, let's dissect the psychology of someone who would do that. Like, first of all, you are clearly, you know, triggered because you feel like, you know, you worship Fresh and Fit, right? Which again is an issue of itself because you should not be worshiping YouTubers, right? We're all humans and we all have our own faults. So like I tell my fans all the time, like don't worship me or something like that. I'm just a guy. But anyway, so we're kind of losing you.
Oh, sorry, I was like getting my charger.
Yeah, so you know, you felt really triggered because someone who you worship, you feel like they were attacked, which they weren't. I don't think you were attacking them at all. And you got triggered by that. So triggered by that you have to lash out the person who came on the show, which I just think is like so fucking lame. And like now what I'm going through is I had this chick, this is kind of what you were asking about before, the Ask Nelly chick on, and her fans are, you know, writing me very nasty messages. And I just find it very funny in the way that like the Fresh and Fit fans are like, the stuff they're sending you is very similar to the messages I'm getting from the like the hardcore feminist chicks. And it's like, yo, like, come on, like they're, for example, they're DMing like my girl saying like, oh, you know, you have no self-respect for being with this guy. Like, yo, what the fuck? She's not in this at all. Like saying me like you're a horrible person. You encourage men to disrespect women. No, I don't. I encourage the opposite of that. Like, where did I say that? Like, they can never point anything out. So it's just like those kind of baseless personal character ad hominem attacks are like super lame. So like, if you're a guy who's thinking about like randomly like first of all, what are you going to accomplish by that? Like, you know, there's nothing to be gained by that. It's not like you're going to fuck a guy because they send you a nasty DM. You're not going to be like, oh, daddy, yeah, tell me more about how I've been a bad girl, you know, like, so like, you're just, first of all, you're wasting your breath. Second of all, you're just being like a fucking douche for no reason. And third of all, you just clearly have like low self-esteem, you know, and you're like basically acting the same way like a hardcore feminist would act. So that would be like the third point. So yeah, I just thought that shit was like super lame.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm sorry that that's happening to your girlfriend. That's terrible.
No, it's all good. She has a tough skin.
What do you think about him insulting me in the elevator, that guy, Aaron?
I mean, I thought that was fucked up. Like, that's very disrespectful. Like, you know, like if I, for example, you know, I have their team is bigger than mine, but I do have a team. If I found out that someone on my team disrespected a guest, like they would, you know, either be fired or they would, you know, whatever, there would be repercussions for that. Like, I respect all of the guests who come on my show because at the end of the day, like it's all about like at the end of the day, it comes down to views and, you know, clout. And, you know, by you coming on their show, they are getting, you know, more views and more clout, right? Because if all girls stop coming on the channel, then, you know, their show's going to die, right? So you need guests to come on. So thus, even if you don't give a shit about your guests, you still have to respect them so they keep coming back on.
Yeah.
So
The
only thing I don't know if Myron and Walter are aware that happened. Do you think they know about that?
Yeah, I told him that it happened. He was like, "Oh, I'll have a talk with him. Like, don't take it personal." I was like, "Okay."
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I was. That's why also I was kind of hesitant to come on this podcast. Not gonna lie, because it's like, why am I talking about this? Like, I don't want to give them more publicity. And like anyone who's watching this, please don't go watch their channel. Like, don't support that stuff. It's just terrible. But
I think too late on that because I think most of the people who are watching this already do because it's something very specific. No, I mean I don't tell my followers don't watch this, don't watch that. I want my followers to have to
yeah,
be open to different opinions and like it's not like you have to pick me or them. Like you can watch anyone who you want. But one thing I do want to ask anyone who's watching this is do not fucking be nasty to Monica. Okay, that shit is super fucking lame. It is not going to get you laid, and it is just really fucking dipshit behavior. So don't do that. I think generally my followers will be a lot more supportive, and also like support. You mentioned you have a photography page.
yeah, I have a photography page. It's at on Instagram at Monica Muniz photography. So it's MONICA photography. If you guys want to go follow it, check it out.
Yeah,
Support.
we'll link in the description. But yeah, definitely support a photography page. Like as kind of
Please
like
don't be mean to me, please. Thank you.
as like a way so her like experience. I do kind of feel bad that like your first experience with podcasts was negative, and not even so much of because of like anything Fresh and Fit did directly, just as like indirect result of being harassed by the fans. Because it is one thing when you're like someone like me who's like used to like that kind of shit, like me getting 100 DMs, people calling me a dipshit doesn't affect me at all, right? Like I don't care. I'm used to it. It's like it's part of the territory because that's what I do. But like if you're someone who's like a civilian, right? Like it can really fuck you up. So I do think that shit is like I feel bad that that happened.
Yeah, after that experience, I was like, wow, I definitely like never want to be famous. I cannot handle that shit. Like, I don't know. It took a toll on me. I'm not gonna lie, but
Well, you're a champ. Let's kind of move on to let's just kind of end it off on like a more positive thing. So what are um some like raw tips you would give to guys to be more successful with women?
okay. More tips. Okay, so I would say try not to come off as like creepy. Like when you're first getting to know a girl, I know maybe you're trying to like set the tone and like trying to like maybe get her to like want to be intimate with you or try to like, I get it. But when you're like pushing really, really like overly sexual conversation really early on, it can kind of come off like creepy, and kind of like pushy in the beginning. So, oh, also, when you're first getting to know a girl, like be sure to ask her about herself, because it lets girls know that you care about like what's going on in their lives, like what they care about, like their personality, like
Yeah,
because
people
that's
love
something I
talking about
always.
themselves. So yeah, that's something I
Yeah, it's
always
like a
do.
lot of times I go on dates. Sometimes I go on dates with guys, and it's like they just won't stop talking about themselves. And it's like, damn, do you even care about me? Like, do you care about what's going on in my head, what I care about? Like, that's a big red flag. So just always try to be thoughtful about that too.
Yeah, I do teach that because if you're going on a date, there's like three frames. There's like I frame, you frame, and we frame. So I frame is like I'm like, yeah, I do this, I do that. You frame is like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? And we frame is like, hey, look at us, we're having fun. Look at like it's something involves both of us. So you want to either stick to the second or third frame. Yeah, because usually people don't give a shit about you. They mostly want to talk about themselves. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to win a chick over, or game a chick, whatever. I hate the word win a girl over. So whatever you're trying to get with a girl, then yeah, you'd probably do want to ask her about herself. Let me ask you this: what about Instagram? Like, what have you found to be like an effective approach from your experience for guys who like successfully slid into your DMs?
Personally, I don't really like talking to guys through Instagram. I've never actually like have I ever met someone via Instagram? No, I don't think I have. So not very successful with me. So I don't know. I don't think I can give good advice on that, honestly.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's take some questions from the audience because we got a shitload. Do you have any kind of time constraint?
Sorry?
Do you have any kind of time constraint? Like, do you have to run or anything like that? Or yeah, like 20 minutes to take some questions.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
All right, cool. I listened to this and you're turning this outspoken. That's not true. I've listened to this interview for 20 minutes. Alex spoke 9%. That's not true. It's more like 65%.
Oh my god.
Playing with Fire was pretty tell when Tate, a guy who actually gets girls, whatever you think of them, came on their show and was more funny to the girls on their show. Oh yeah. That's like a whole thing. That's like yeah. Do you know who Tate is?
No.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't make sense without him.
Yeah, if you don't mind reading the question when it comes up, because I can't see very well.
Yeah, no, all good, no problem. Sending girls. Okay, so this is someone criticizing me actually. Sending girls pictures saying I'm chilling with my dog or on my balcony when you're not is lying. If you did in the past, you don't get to tell someone you're doing it now. So yeah, so what they're talking about is sometimes like when a girl asks me what I'm up to, I'll send her a picture of like me chilling with my dog and saying hang out with this guy. When in that moment I'm not hanging out with my dog, I was hanging out with him a few days ago. Yeah, it's like a white lie, but like as a girl, you're really gonna fault me for that. Like I have a cute dog, right? I send you a picture of me hanging out with my dog, and then later on you find out that moment I wasn't hanging out with my dog. I was hanging out with him a few hours before. Are you really gonna hold it against me?
I mean, it's just as long as you weren't doing something horrible in that moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like at the gym or working out. I was like answering questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a white lie. So yeah, I mean,
it's fine.
Okay. That's the problem with women. They get emotional always. They can't debate. See, this is an argument they were using, but like if you look at that clip, like Fresh and Fit got more emotional than Monica did. That's not to say that like women never get emotional either. They do, but like
I got emotional after.
Yeah, emotional after. Yeah, so there's different kinds of men, different kinds of women, different kind. I know men who are really fucking emotional. I do think on average, women tend to be more emotional than men, but that's not to say that women can't be logical and men can't be emotional. Like for example, I thought it was also disgenuine when Myron was saying, "Oh, we just accept reality for it is. We don't have any kind of feelings towards it." Like, no, like if you're a human being, which you are, then you clearly have feelings about everything, and you clearly have very strong feelings about this topic because you're getting very worked up. So like no, like men also have feelings. We have emotions, and so do yeah. It's like such a silly argument.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a question: Is the show scripted? Because some people are asking that.
Who knows? Maybe.
No, but like when you went on, was it like scripted or it was just like free flowing?
No, I feel like he had like a small notepad of like topics, I believe, but for the most part, I feel like it's like free flowing, you know?
Okay, gotcha. Okay, we cracked the code. Chris is Aaron's middle name, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah, still haven't heard an apology from that guy, but I'm not expecting one, so.
Right. Okay, someone's saying Alex is doing the unthinkable just to be on a girl side. No, I'm not. I debate girls all the time. It's as nothing. It just I'm going with the truth. Like I don't understand how anyone could watch that debate and not come to the same conclusions I did. Like it's so fucking obvious. Like I don't understand. Like I don't know. You're living in a different world, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like people that can't see that, I feel like those are just the people that are like too far gone that there's almost like no reason in debating them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's like that with like anything, like the hardcore people, like with the politics people, like like the people who are like diehard.
Yeah, for sure, with everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Can she show proof that people harassing her? She sent me a screenshot, so I saw one of the screenshots, and I really have no reason to doubt her because it's been happening.
I have screenshots. I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys really want, we can like pull it up. I appreciate that she takes turns. She seems like a pretty cool, especially compared to last girl. She just goes in. I agree, Myers kind of standoffish. Yeah, well, compared to my last girl, my last guest, anyone's gonna seem cool. But no, I mean, yeah, definitely. That's why I want to have her on. She seemed pretty cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so people keep it simple. No, wait, it's simple. Just show DMs people. Okay, can we show some of this just so the guys stop doubting this?
Yeah, I would have to message you them now. So I'm on my phone right now. Would it close the?
Oh, okay. Live? Yeah, it might. So just we'll post them afterwards, guys. So she'll send them to me, and I'll post them. I'll find some way to get them to you guys. We just had our Instagram taken down today, so we'll do it on YouTube somehow. So yeah, we'll get that there.
Okay.
If you guys are really down in this. Alex, good job on having a very respectful conversation. Thank you, sir. Okay. I want to get to like good questions, but this is just mainly like a debate here. There's three sides to the story. Here's Chris on the truth. All right, I'd be happy to have Chris on. He will never come on, but yeah, he can give this side of the story any day. This offer is out there. Okay. I also don't like that two frustrated guys with no game were teaching people stuff about women. Yeah.
I mean,
let's ask this question. So, and just answer truthfully. Like, did you feel like either one of them had game?
no.
Who would you say had more game if you had to pick one, Walter or Myron?
Oh my God. Dang. I would say maybe Walter because he was kept more quiet about things he was saying. I don't know. Honestly, neither of them, like I said, have any game. But I would say, yeah, Walter. His name's Walter, right?
Yeah, it's Walter.
Okay, yeah, probably Walter because he's a little more quiet about it.
The vibe I always got from them is like Walter is just a guy who just wants to like get laid as much as possible, which I am too to some extent, right? And then Myron is like very like ideological. He's like all about like like these principles he has, which half of them are wrong. But so like I don't think actually I think Walter only half-heartedly agrees with a lot of the stuff Myron says, but he just kind of goes along with it. And that's kind of like the dynamic I watch with like Myron will say something that's like pretty like over the edge, and Walter will just like be like, yeah, maybe, and that's kind of like the vibe I see.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head with that. Yeah.
Okay. Someone's asking if you're Jewish. No, we talked about this offline. You're
No, I'm not. I was raised Catholic, so I'm Catholic.
Bro, if Myron's so fucking good, then why is he not doing a debate with John or Alex? He knows that they can keep a cool head and bring way better. Yeah, so I don't even really know how much I want to do a debate with Myron at this point. I probably would if the opportunity came, but what's his name? Kevin Ray Wilder made many public claims to have a debate with him, and I fully support that, but they've turned that down. So they don't really want to have like a debate. Like that's just very evident because they don't bring on any guys on the show who disagree with them. Okay. I want to get some good questions, but this is just like a. Do you have an OnlyFans?
No.
Do you find it weird that they both use fake names?
They use fake names?
Yeah, well, so Walter, no, I think Walter, that's his real name, but he goes by Fresh Prince CO. And Myron, that is his fake name. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to like dox him. I'm not going to say his real name, but that is not really his name.
Oh, I had no idea. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'll stand up in defense of them for that. That's just for like security reasons. Like me personally, Alex is really my name, like Alex Lunchik. I'm just like fully embracing all this shit. But there's a lot of people who do that. Like for example, John Anthony, my buddy. That's Anthony's not his last name, so that is very common. So I won't like fault them for that at all.
Yeah, probably like a security reason. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Take one before you like. Okay, this is an interesting question. Red, your nickname is Red. How many dates without bedroom fun should a man take a woman on before he should feel like he's being used for attention and kick her out?
Being used for attention? Damn. I mean, I think that you should be able to, if you're with someone and you're seeing them, you should be able to read whether or not they want to take you seriously or not. And first of all, just because a woman doesn't want to have sex with you on the third, even fourth date, that doesn't mean that she's using you for attention, by the way. Like every woman has a different time frame of when they feel comfortable, and that's fine. And if you're not okay with that, then you can stop talking to her. That's fine too. So I don't know. I can't really put a number on that, I guess.
Yeah, it's a hard number to put on because there's some girls who are a lot more prudish than others. So, like for example, if this is a girl who's really comes from like a conservative background, she's like a virgin, then that number is going to be very different than the girl who's like pretty sexually active, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's not coming from a bad place. Like, you know, for example, that woman who's maybe really religious and doesn't want to have bedroom fun early on, that's not coming from a negative place of, oh, I'm using you for your attention. You know, it's just like she doesn't feel comfortable with that. So
yeah, I fucking hate that phrase "bedroom fun." So let's just start saying
I
having
hate that
saying
too.
sex. It's so fucking dumb. Okay, so yeah, I mean, my take is that like me personally, for example, I like to have sex fairly fast. So I mostly go for girls who are like also fairly like promiscuous, like not super promiscuous, but like fairly promiscuous because that's like what I like. Like I don't go for like super religious conservative girls because that wouldn't be like we'd be too different. We have two different set of values. So yeah, I mean I don't know, but yeah, there's no like hard number. I mean yeah, three I guess is a fair number. But yeah, I mean I think that whether a girl I think just because a girl isn't fucking you on the third date doesn't necessarily mean she's using for attention. It probably more likely means that she's like very sexually conservative. It can potentially mean that, but I think more likely it means.
Damn, you think 3 is like conservative?
I mean, I've never gone on more than 3 dates with a girl without having sex. Yeah,
Okay.
two is like my usual one
Yeah,
or
I
two.
feel like whatever you, I don't know, man. If you don't want to wait that long, then just you're free to do whatever you want. Stop talking to her, I guess. It's all, I guess, dependent on you.
Well, like what if you don't mind me asking like a kind of personal question, like what about you? Like what do you what's like your kind of number of dates?
Um, I don't really feel comfortable answering that, but it's like, I don't know. I don't put a number on it though. It's just like
So you
if
more
whenever,
go off like the vibe of the guy, right?
yeah, whenever I feel comfortable with you, you know, whenever I want to, whenever I feel comfortable. It's not, I don't put a set number, oh, on the second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh. Like, it's not like that, you know?
Right. So you go more off like your feelings and your intuition, basically, right?
Yeah, my intuition. Yeah.
Yeah. Which again is where like good game comes in because game involves making a girl feel good about you and your experience together. Okay, let's take a few more. Okay, this is I'm going to rephrase this question. What do you think is the most attractive trait in a man?
I'd say a man that's like sure in himself. So confidence, maybe.
Yeah, confidence is definitely very attractive. All right, I got to take my girls. Alexander, don't make me look promiscuous. All right, for the record, nasty natty, naughty natty is not promiscuous.
That's your girlfriend?
Yeah, her lay count is fairly low. She was the exception to the rule. Okay, let's see. Okay. Monica, have you thought about live streaming on Twitch and starting your own podcast and starting your own YouTube channel and starting your own TikTok and start? That's a lot of things for you to start. Have you thought about any of that?
No, I have. Well, I've thought about making a YouTube. Yeah. I have a TikTok, but it's like I do like dumb videos, like dumb little TikTok dances, because I guess I'm kind of childish like that. But yeah, no, I mean, if I did a YouTube channel, I don't really know what I would make with it. I mean, I don't know what, like, you have to have like a topic, I guess, right? Of like the things you talk about on
A
your,
theme, yeah.
yeah, theme. I don't know, but maybe it's something I should think about. I don't like attention like this. It freaks me out. So maybe that's just not for me. Like the fame, the clout is not for me. I do not like it. So
Damn, what are you doing in Miami? You gotta move to like Ohio or something. Then
yeah,
you're
I
living
don't
in the
know,
wrong
man.
city.
I don't know. It freaks me out. It really does. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, you're living in the wrong city. Everyone here likes cloud. Okay, this is an interesting question. What do you agree with Fresh and Fit on? I know 80% of their speech is wrong.
What do I agree with them on?
There's got to be something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember like points that they were making right now. I don't know. The podcast was so long ago right now in my head, thinking about it. Dang, do you remember some points on that they made that maybe I'd relate with or something?
Um,
Uh,
he was saying that one of the points that I agree with him on during my reaction videos, he was saying that relationships work better when men lead, and I agreed with that.
oh. Eh. I don't know. I don't know. I would have to watch the video back. Look, I'm sure I agree with them. Maybe some things. Maybe. Wow, it's being very generous. But I mean, like I said, I don't have the whole, what was it, a 2 hour video playing in my head right now. I don't remember, you know.
I think realistically speaking, you would if you went to like super objectively, you probably would agree with like 30 to 40%. Like I agree with probably about 50 to 60%. Uh yeah, something like that. Disagree with about 40%.
I don't know. I'm not really looking to watch their content anymore, honestly, though. So,
Yeah, fair enough. This is an interesting question. Do they try to smash guest Monica?
do they try to smash guests? I don't know. I have no idea.
Did they try to smash you?
No, not really. No.
Okay. Touche.
Yeah.
Monica, what do you personally look for in a man?
What do I look for in a man? I feel like every girl gives like these basic ass answers, but
Yeah, yeah.
like whatever, I'll just say them. So like someone that I have a lot in common with. I think naturally we gravitate to people that we are like, naturally. Someone that has a great sense of humor, not too uptight, someone who is confident in themselves, someone who's driven, someone who um, is still chivalrous. Like they want to show me that they care about me. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like if we get along, we get along. Also, I feel like the my two boyfriends in the past were very different people, so I wouldn't even say that I have a specific type. Even the way they looked very different too. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm still trying to figure that out too myself.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably be able to name like some of the like the basic traits, like definitely confidence. You like a guy who's confident. You like a
Yeah,
guy who like takes charge. A guy who has his shit together. Do you
yeah,
think you have like a physical type too?
yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't think I really have a physical type. Because I feel like the guys I've liked look so different. But I like Latinos. I like
Like,
Arab men too. I think Arab men are really cute a lot of the time. White guys are cute too. I'm not opposed to white
what
guys.
about the Russians? The Russians need love. We've been getting hate on in the
I
media.
have not met a lot of Russians here. What's up with that?
You got to go to Sunny Isles.
Sunny Isles, noted. Okay.
Yeah, so they were all like congregate. You can get yourself like a nice bowl of borscht.
Yeah,
It'll be
for
good.
sure.
Good. Uh, okay. Okay, so let's take this question. So Monica, you want a chivalrous man that is traditional, but you're willing to be a traditional woman? Honestly, just a genuine question. No attacks, please.
um, am I willing to be a traditional woman? So what do you mean, like a woman, like a stay-at-home mom?
I think, yeah. I'll preface this by saying, like, I personally never like really. I want a traditional woman in some ways, but in other, like, I never had. Like, I want a chick who works. Like, I don't want a chick who just mopes
Yeah.
around the house all day. But I think what they mean when they say traditional woman is like a chick who will be like a stay-at-home mom who like cook, clean, like kind of be
Okay.
like think of like a '60s housewife.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
50s.
Okay, maybe I should spend like okay, I definitely want I would like for my man to be chivalrous and to have chivalrous aspects, but I don't think I would want to stay home and kind of be a housewife. I think I just want a different something different for my life. I want to work. I want to make something of myself separate from my family too. Like that's what I see myself as. I mean, maybe in the future it could change, but
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't
yeah.
really strike me as the type of chick who wants to like who needs a guy to like pay for all her shit. Like you strike me more as the type of girl that will like, yeah, I'll pay for my shit. I'll work, you work. That type of girl.
Yeah, but like I also definitely like for example on a first date I would appreciate if a guy paid for the first date because to me it's like, oh, you're asking me on the date first of all. And
Uh oh.
it's kind of a signal like that you care about me, you want to show me a good time. It's like a nice gesture. So I feel like when I say chivalrous, I'm not saying that I want to be like an extreme housewife and like stay home and like keep my mouth shut or whatever. Like, it's not that extreme. I'm just, I just want a guy who cares, who like opens the car door for me, who's like sweet and nice to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want a dick. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
What the question I was going to ask? Oh, okay, this is what I was going to ask you. Do you feel like men should be stigmatized though if they do want to split the bill?
Stigmatized? Well, not really. No, I mean, you, like look, I think it's a bad look if the first date, if you're asking a woman on a date, right, and you you don't offer to like pay for the whole thing. It's just like, damn, like why did you ask me on this date? You know what I mean? Like I didn't ask to come on this date. Like you asked to show me a good time. So it's kind of a bad look. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah.
Yeah, so like again, like I'll preface this by saying that like when I go on a date with a girl, I pay for the drinks, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. The point I was trying to make in like my original video is that I just don't like the idea of men being attacked if they do want to split the bill. Like I understand, like for you personally, if that's like a turn off, like that's fine. You're entitled to your preferences and stuff. I personally get turned off when a woman like expects like if a woman is like cool and chill, like I like even if she offers to split the bill, I'll be like, no, no, it's okay, I got it. But like there has been certain situations where the girl was very like entitled, which is like a major turnoff. It's just like I'm sure for you, like you go on a date with an attractive guy and you might want to sleep with him, but then you see that he's entitled to sex and that's a turnoff. It's the same way for guys. Like we don't mind, most of us don't mind like paying for shit. It's just like when there's that entitlement to it, that's like a turnoff for us.
Yeah. And they're two very different things, right? So sex and like paying for something are two very different things. I want to make that distinction. But also it's like, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And also I think it's the way you're brought up. So it's just like, I don't know, for me, it's like when a guy pays for stuff for me, it's like for a dinner or whatever. It's more like it's not about like the money. It's like a gesture of showing me that you care about me, like I said, like you care about me, you want to show me a good time, you don't want me to have to worry about the bill, like whatever. It's a nice gesture. So, personally me, like if I went on a first date with a guy and he didn't offer to pay for it, I probably wouldn't see him again, not gonna lie.
But would you like actively talk shit about him?
No. I mean, and I would definitely offer, like I always kind of play this little game, like, oh, like are you sure, like do you want me to like we can split it, but he always is like, oh no, don't worry, I got it, you know what I mean? So I'm not rude about it either. I'm not like, oh, you're gonna pick up the tab, like no, it's not like that. But
Mm.
you know
Yeah. Yeah. Again, like I think like the thing for men is like, yeah, I think like most men like have no problem with paying, like me being one of them. It's just like we just get turned off when there's like that entitlement, which again, I don't sense any of that from you, honestly. I just think you're like a girl who who like likes certain things. But like I don't sense any entitlement coming from you. But like there are some girls, not majority, but minority of girls who do have that entitlement, which is a turn off for guys. Because we want to do like people in general want to do nice things for people, like not because they're expected to, but because they want to, right? You know, like what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
like if someone's like, "Are you going to get me a gift for my birthday? You're going to get me a gift." Like you no longer really want to get them a gift, but like you're going to feel much better getting them that gift if it's like they didn't ask for it. You know what I mean? So it's like that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's also just thoughtful to me because it's like, as a woman, most of the time, like most women, like we spend a lot of time preparing for a date, like I get my toes done, I got my nails done, I got my, I do my hair, I do my makeup, I buy a dress, like whatever. Like a lot goes into it. So it's just like, damn, like I spent all this money getting ready and like you expect me to pay on a date that you invited me to, like in the first place. Like, come on now, I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think
But
also.
but again, I'm not entitled to it. I'm not gonna be rude about it. I'm not. Yeah.
You're good. Yeah. No. Also, another thing I want to say is like, kind of in defense of you. So you guys got to keep in mind, like Monica is not a dating coach. She's like a civilian. She's not a dating coach. She's not a female dating coach. She's not a popular podcaster, right? Like you're just a regular person. So you
Yeah.
can't expect her to be able to articulate her opinions in an uh, extremely self-aware, I'm not saying that you're not self-aware, like you seem like you are, but you're not. she's not in this space, so you can't expect the same level of like articulation from her or the same level of self-awareness from her that you would from like me, or like not even me, like from Kezia Noble, or from what's her name, Marnie, or whatever, any one of those girls who've literally spent years doing videos and have trained themselves. So I think like you do have to, like when you have a guest on, like like look at it through that lens. Okay, where's that person at? So that's like in defense of you, because some guys are saying like, oh well, she's not articulating, she's not being fully self-aware, but like because she's not. That's not her job. Like you're a photographer, right? Or you're a student, or what do you do?
Yeah, I'm a student, rookie photographer. I'm not gonna say I'm a professional photographer, but yeah, and I know that I could definitely articulate myself better. I'm working on that, but like I said, I'm not a public speaker. I don't have my own podcast. I'm not a professional, guys. So
yeah, no, we still appreciate you coming on. I mean, I think this was a good discussion. Hopefully, you get a lot more love from this podcast than you did from your previous one. I mean, is there anything you want to discuss? I feel like I've been asking you questions. So is there anything?
No, I'm good. I think we covered it all. I mean, I want to know about you though. Like you said, you're Russian. You were born in Russia.
Yeah.
So like, what's your story? Like, what were you doing like before the podcast? Like, what's your thing?
It's not that exciting. I was working a corporate job. Well, I mean, depends how far back we go in my story, but between the age of like 22 and 26, I was working in solar sales. I was pretty good at my job. And then in my part-time, like when I was 25, I started a Facebook group and I called it Playing with Fire. And I would just basically write about my hookup stories. And I didn't advertise my group at all. It just kind of, grew through word of mouth. And then around 26, the company I worked for a few years went bankrupt like overnight because some of the upper management made like really shitty decisions with the financing. And so like I was out of a job like basically overnight, me and like hundreds of other people. And like I was really disillusioned with going back in the corporate world after that. And I was living in California, so I had like very generous 9 months of unemployment. So I just decided to see how far I can run with Playing with Fire. And so I started a website, then I started a YouTube channel, I started a TikTok, and then just grew from there.
Wow, that's like an insane story. Like a come up, man. That's crazy.
I mean, there's definitely like I'm making it like sound like a lot more simple than it was. There's definitely like all the shit that happened. Like like at one point Tinder was suing us. We had like a million, like when we started the business, we had like all these like fucking stupid challenges. Like Tinder was like going after us for trademark infringement. We had this other guy who was going after our hosting and doing DMCA takedowns. This like crazy motherfucker. So there's like all this weird thing. We got kicked off like our first payment processor, so we lost like tens of thousands of dollars. So like initially it was like super bumpy. I even after the first few months I was like, do I even really want to do this? Because just like headache after headache. But eventually,
wow, that's insane. So this is what you do now, like full time?
Yeah.
Wow, congrats on that. That's like amazing. That's insane.
It's fun. I mean, I enjoy it. Like, it's definitely like like a good job as far as all things go. I mean, there's aspects of it that get annoying. Like sometimes you're like answering the same question like every single day for like a year. It's like the variation of like the same 10 questions. But it's good, like, and I hope like, guys get value out of this. That's what it's all about.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. Anything else you want to know?
No, I think that's it for me.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate it, guys. Support Monica. Seriously, like it kind of sucks that she had to go through all that shit. So let's just all like fucking hit a like on her photography page and just give her some love.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. All right, guys, thank you. We got some more videos coming up this week, so make sure you smash that subscribe button. We got Courtney Ryan coming on in 2 weeks, so that's going to be an awesome podcast as well. It's happening. All right, thank you, guys. Thank you, Monica. Until next time.